Welcome to today's Sutta study. So today we're going to be learning about a sutta that's found in the Majjhima Nikaya of the Pali Canon, and the name of this sutta is called Vimamsaka Sutta. Okay, the name of the sutta is called Vimamsaka Sutta. In this sutta, our great teacher, the Supreme Buddha, shows how a person should form confidence about a teacher. Okay? The way a person should form a confidence about a teacher whom he resort to for refuge, so that confidence is based on a root. Okay, so it really shows our great teachers' ability to guide the disciple in the right way. And it also helps us to, this sutta really helps us to form a great pleasant mind about the Supreme Buddha by realizing how pure the Supreme Buddha's mind is. Okay, so if you don't get anything, you should at least form a pleasant mind about the Supreme Buddha when you listen to this sutta. Okay, so on this occasion, the Supreme Buddha, the Blessed One, was living in Savatthi, in Jeta's grove, in Anathapindika's park. There, the bhikkhus, the Supreme Buddha addressed the bhikkhus, and the Supreme Buddha says, bhikkhus, a bhikkhu who is an inquirer. Inquirer means someone who investigates. A bhikkhu who is an inquirer, but is someone who is not capable of seeing others' minds. Okay? Should make an investigation of the Tathagata in order to find out whether or not he is fully enlightened. So the Supreme Buddha himself is saying, a bhikkhu who does not have the ability to see another person's mind, but he is a good inquirer. He has the ability to investigate. Such a person should make an investigation on the Tathagata in order to find out whether he is truly fully enlightened or not. Okay? So the Supreme Buddha doesn't expect us to simply go for refuge to the Supreme Buddha for mere sake. This is because somebody says, oh, the Supreme Buddha is a really good person. You shouldn't take another person's word for it, but rather you should find out for yourself who the Supreme Buddha is. Okay? And you should have a conviction on your own about the fact that whether the Supreme Buddha is supremely enlightened or not. And so when the Supreme Buddha taught this to the bhikkhus said, Venerable Sir, our teachings are rooted in the Blessed One. Okay? Our teachings have the Blessed One as their resort, and the Blessed One is the one who guides us. It would be good if the Blessed One would explain the meaning of these words, and having heard it from the Blessed One, we will remember it. Okay, so the bhikkhus themselves are saying, Venerable Sir, please tell us how we should inquire. How should we inquire about the Supreme Buddha to find out whether the Supreme Buddha is actually supremely enlightened or not? So at that time, our great teacher Supreme Buddha said, okay, bhikkhus, then listen, and I will teach. Okay? So the Supreme Buddha teaches bhikkhus, a bhikkhu who is an inquirer, not having the ability to read others' minds, should investigate the Tathagata in respect to two kinds of things. That is, you should find out whether are there states cognizable through the eye and through the ear Are there found in the Tathagata or not any defiled states cognizable through the eye or through the ear? Okay, so you should look and see whether there are defiled states in the Tathagata that you can see from your eyes or hear from your ears. So now from a person's behavior, we can find out whether that person is a good person or a bad person, right? From a person's behavior, we can find out whether a person has a pure mind or not, right? If a person is someone who kills, if a person is someone who steals, if a person is someone who says bad words, harsh words, lies, then by seeing that or by hearing those words, we can find out that that person is a bad person. So the Supreme Buddha is saying, look at the way the Supreme Buddha behaves and look at the way the Supreme Buddha speaks and find out whether there are any defiled states. That means, does the Supreme Buddha do bad things? Does the Supreme Buddha say bad things? You should find out yourself. Okay, so the Supreme Buddha is giving that chance to the disciple so that the disciple can decide on his own through his own observation. So that's why this Dhamma is open to all. There is nothing to hide. The Supreme Buddha opens this Dhamma. The Supreme Buddha's entire life is so open. There are no hidden things. Why? Because the Supreme Buddha's Dhamma is based on the truth. There's nothing to hide. And the Supreme Buddha's realization is a realization of truth. There's nothing to hide. Okay, so Supreme Buddha is saying, fine, go look to see whether you can see things from your eyes and listen and see whether you can hear things from your ears that are defiled within the Tathagata. Okay, and when he investigates, he comes to know. So when he looks at the Supreme Buddha's behavior and when he listens to the Supreme Buddha's words, he comes to know that there are no defiled states that can be seen through the eye or the ear that's found in the Tathagata. Okay. Then the Supreme Buddha teaches, when he comes to know this, he should investigate further. So you shouldn't just stop there. You should not be satisfied by just that. You should investigate further. You should investigate further and see, are they found in Tathagata any defiled states that happens from time to time? Okay. Now, for example, if a person is trying to purify the mind, if a person is still training, then that person, if he's still training himself, then as much as he can, he would try to keep his mind, speech, and body pure. But if he's a person still in training, from time to time there might be lapses. Right? There might be lapses, and through those lapses, he can get angry, right? He can say bad words to others. So the Supreme Buddha is saying, watch closely, listen closely, and try to find out whether there are defiled states, at least from time to time. Okay, so for this, the Supreme Buddha teaches, in fact, in one of the suttas or bhikkhus, in order to find out whether a person is virtuous, you need to associate with that person for a long time. You can't find out whether the person is virtuous by simply knowing that person for a short time. And then the Supreme Buddha teaches bhikkhus, in order to find out whether a person is virtuous, you need to be very attentive. If a person is not attentive, you can't find out whether that person is virtuous or not. And not only that, you need to be attentive and you need to be wise in order to find out whether a person is virtuous or not. Okay, so the Supreme Buddha teaches, and in the same way the Supreme Buddha teaches bhikkhus, In order to find out whether a person is pure, in his words, you should speak with him, you should discuss with him, you should talk with him. Okay, and not for a short time, you need to speak with him for a long time, and then only can you find out whether that person is actually a pure person. Because sometimes if a person wants to pretend as if he's a good person, he can, if you only associate with him for two days, then he can pretend he is a very good person. But when you associate that with that person for a long time, then if he's actually not pure inside, then you can see instances of where he speaks harshly, right? Where he says bad words to others or he behaves in the wrong way. So that's why some of the teachers, you have to associate with the person for a long time and talk with the person for a long time in order to find out whether that person is a good person or a pure person or not. So in the same way, the Savimata is teaching here, when you're investigating about the Tathagata, you should also investigate, does the Tathagata may have good bodily conduct and good verbal conduct for certain times, but are there lapses from time to time? So see, this is the way to investigate. You should find out, are there lapses from time to time within the Tathagata that you can see that are defiled? Defiled meaning words and actions that are rooted by desire. Words and actions that are rooted by anger or hatred. Words and behavior that are rooted by delusion. And so when you investigate this, when you investigate like this, you realize that there are no, even from time to time, there are no defiled states that's found in the Tathagata. So you come to that conviction on your own. Okay. During the Supreme Buddha's time, there were, when people got to hear about the Supreme Buddha, there were some people who would go and follow the Supreme Buddha for as long as 7 months. There was a young man named Uttara who was sent by a Brahmin, go and follow the Supreme Buddha. Wherever he goes, whatever he does, go and follow him and find out whether he's actually a pure person. So for 7 months straight, there were people who would follow the Buddha to find out whether there are any lapses within the Supreme Buddha's life. And of course, they found no lapses at all. So the Supreme Buddha teaches, once a person realizes that there are no lapses even from time to time, then you should investigate further. So you shouldn't stop. You should investigate further and try and find out, are there found in Tathagata pure states cognizable through the eye or through the ear? Okay, that is, investigate and see whether the Supreme Buddha's actions are pure. Investigate and see whether the Supreme Buddha's words are pure. Okay? So when you investigate like this, the teachers, then that person realizes the Blessed One's words, the Blessed One's actions are all pure. There are no defiled states. There are no words or behavior that are rooted by desire, hatred, or delusion. So he gains confidence through investigation, not by not by simply believing blindly, but by observing and analyzing through himself. Okay. Then the Supreme Buddha teaches you shouldn't be satisfied there. You should investigate further. You should find out, has this venerable one attained this wholesome state over a long time, or did he attain it recently? Okay, so after investigating, if you realize that this is a very pure person, then you should find out, has this person attained this wholesome state for a long time, or has he attained it only recently? Okay. And when he investigates like this, he comes to know that this venerable one has attained this wholesome state over a long time. He did not attain it only recently. So these wholesome states are within the Tathagata for a long time. Okay. The Supreme Buddha, even before becoming the Buddha, when he was a Bodhisattva, the Mara followed the Bodhisattva for 6 years straight when the Supreme Buddha was doing the austere practices. He followed the Bodhisattva for 6 years straight, waiting to see a lapse on the Supreme Buddha's part. And he thought if the Bodhisattva does something bad through his body, speech, or mind, if he does something bad, then I will creep in. I will take advantage of it. So because of that, he was after the Bodhisattva for 6 years straight, and he couldn't find any lapse in part of the Bodhisattva's life. And after the Bodhisattva became supremely enlightened, 1 year after that, the Mara followed the Buddha, waiting for a lapse on his part, and the Mara couldn't find any lapse, any weakness on the part of the Buddha. So there are people who investigated the Buddha like this. Okay, but they could not find any defiled state in the Supreme Buddha's life. Okay. So the Supreme Buddha teaches to find out and investigate whether this person has had these wholesome things in his life for a long time or just a short time. Okay. And once you find out that he has attained these wholesome states from a long time, then you should investigate further and find out this venerable one is well renowned. Okay, as you know, the Supreme Buddha was very famous in India at that time. Many Brahmins, many kings, and many people in India respected the Supreme Buddha, and the Supreme Buddha got lots of gain and honor. Okay, the Supreme Buddha's good name spread throughout India. Okay. So the Supreme Buddha says, find out, has this venerable one declined after becoming renowned and attained fame and gain and honor? Okay. So remember that it's for bhikkhus, as long as the bhikkhu has not acquired fame and renown and is well known, that person does not decline. But when a person becomes very famous and when he is well known in the country, when he becomes famous and when he gets gain and honor, then he declines. Okay, so find out and see whether the Tathagata, although he is well known in the country, although he gets a lot of gain and honor, and although he is famous, has he declined because of those gain and honor? Okay, because when a person gets gain and honor, when he becomes famous, what happens to him is he changes. Now, this is something that happens in the ordinary life. Okay, if a person has defilements within, this can happen if he is not mindful. In the ordinary world, we can see when a person becomes famous, he becomes so egoistic about himself, right? You don't have to be so famous, even if you get promoted, right? If a person gets a promotion, that person thinks so highly of himself and becomes egoistic, and he behaves in a completely different way. Okay, before he used to be very humble and nice to others, and once he becomes so famous and once he starts to get lots of gain and honor, he speaks so rudely to others. He thinks so highly of himself to others. He doesn't treat others nicely. So these are changes that are visible to a normal person who gets gain and honor. That person's ego rises and therefore he completely changes. That's the decline in him. Right? Before a person is famous, he is very humble, he's down to earth, he's very nice to others, he speaks to them very nicely. But the moment he becomes famous and promoted, and he changes completely. That is decline on his part. So the Supreme Buddha is saying, find out whether the Tathagata has changed, whether Tathagata has become egoistic because of the gain and honor that he has gotten. And when you investigate, you realize that the Tathagata has not declined, although he has gotten lots of fame, although he has gotten lots of gain and honor. Okay? So the Supreme Buddhist teacher investigate like this and see this is the way to find out whether the Tathagata is truly a supremely enlightened one. So it's not something that you believe because somebody else says. It's not something that you accept for mere say, but something that you investigate on your own and understand through yourself. Okay? Then the Supreme Buddha teaches you should investigate further. The Supreme Buddha teaches investigate further and see now so far through the investigation you realize that this person is a very pure person. He does not do anything wrong to his body, speech, or mind. So he's a very pure person. So next, investigate and see whether he behaves so restrained without doing anything wrong through body, speech, and mind because of fear, because of fear of being reborn in another being, because of fear of being reborn in a bad destination, or because of fear of being accused by others. Does he restrain himself because of fear, or or is his pure actions, or does he restrain himself without fear? Okay. Now, for example, if we take a normal person's life, we protect the precepts because we are scared. We fear the outcome of those actions, right? That's the reason that we restrain ourselves. So find out whether the Tathagata also restrained because of that. Or is he restrained without fear? Okay. And find out, does he avoid indulging in sensual pleasures because he has no lust? Does he avoid indulging in sensual pleasures because he has destroyed lust? Okay. And when you investigate like this, you realize that this venerable one is restrained without fear. And he is restrained. He avoids indulging in sensual pleasures because he is without lust, because he has destroyed all lust. Okay, so when you investigate, you realize that the Supreme Buddha has pure actions, pure words, pure mind, because he doesn't restrain himself forcefully. Okay, but rather the Supreme Buddha is free from defilements. That's the reason that the Supreme Buddha has a pure mind. Okay, and the Supreme Buddha does not avoid indulging in sensual pleasures because of trying to restrain himself, but rather because the Supreme Buddha does not have any lust within. Yes, because he has completely destroyed all lust within. That's the reason the Supreme Buddha does not indulge in sensual pleasures. Right? Because in this world there are some people who do not indulge in sensual pleasures because of fear of doing wrong. Okay, but that does not mean they don't have lust within. Okay? They restrain themselves because they want to because they're scared that they might do something wrong. and they're scared of the outcome. But that's not the case in Tathagata. The Supreme Buddha does not indulge in sensual pleasures because the Supreme Buddha does not have any lust within. So when you investigate, you realize that that is the root. Okay, that is the reason why the Supreme Buddha does not indulge in sensual pleasures, because Supreme Buddha does not have any desire, lust, attachment, craving within. Okay. And then the Supreme Buddha teaches you should investigate further. Okay, you should not just end here, you should investigate further and find out more about the Tathagata's purity. And the Supreme Buddha teaches now, because if others should ask that bhikkhu, if others should ask that bhikkhu thus, what are the Venerable One's reason and what is his evidence whereby he says that Venerable One is restrained without fear, not restrained by fear, and he avoids indulging in sensual pleasures because he is without lust through the destruction of lust. Okay, if someone asks why do you say, if someone asks why do you say that Venerable One is restrained without fear, okay, and why do you say that Venerable One avoids indulging in sensual pleasures because he has completely eradicated lust, why do you say that? Then answering rightly, that bhikkhu should answer like this. Okay, and that is, this is the way you should answer. This is remember the teachers. You should say that bhikkhu, that Venerable One, when he is among the Sangha, when he is in seclusion, when he is with arahants, and when he is among people who are misbehaving, when he is teaching others, he behaves the same way. There is no difference. Now, for someone who has defilements within, depending on who we associate with, the way we associate is different. Right? When you're associating with very, very calm people, you behave calmly. But when you associate with people who are very noisy and restless, you behave otherwise. You behave in a different way. But in the Tathagata, you see that no matter who the Supreme Buddha associates with, the Supreme Buddha associates with the same way. So that shows how serene and peaceful the Supreme Buddha is within. And then the Supreme Buddha teaches, there are some people who, when they get gain and honor, they become so attached to it. But there are some people who, when they get gain and honor, they don't become attached to it. Okay? But the Tathagata does not look down upon those people who become attached to gain and honor. And and this shows how the Tathagata does not react to the external world. Now, when we see somebody who's doing wrong things, we react to it, right? We praise, if we see someone who's doing something really good, we praise him. And if we see that same person doing a bad thing, we dispraise him or we insult him. Right? But the Tathagata, he doesn't react to the world like that. This is one of the qualities of the Supreme Buddha. It's called the Thadi quality. That is, the Supreme Buddha is unshakable. The Supreme Buddha's mind is not shaken by the worldly conditions. Right? For a person with a defiled mind, when he gets gain, he becomes overwhelmed by it. When he gets insults, he gets down. When he loses things, he feels down. Okay? But the Supreme Buddha does not revolve. His mind does not change around these worldly conditions, the Supreme Buddha's mind is unshakable. It's unshaken. Okay, so this is what is described in this section. So that person who's investigating realizes and understands that the Tathagata does the Tathagata reacts in the same way in every situation. He does not change. Okay, so that shows how pure the Supreme Buddha is in his mind. Whether he's teaching bhikkhus, whether he's with arahants, whether he's with unvirtuous bhikkhus, okay, whether he's in seclusion, whether no matter where he is and who he is with, the Supreme Buddha behaves in the same way, and he does not look down upon those who are going in the wrong path, and he is not affected by the external world. Why? Because inside Supreme Buddha's mind, there are no defilements. Because Supreme Buddha has a pure mind. So after investigating like this, then Supreme Buddha teaches, then now these were your observations, right? The Supreme Buddha teaches, afterwards, you should go and speak to the Tathagata himself and ask from the Supreme Buddha these questions. That is, you should go and ask from the Supreme Buddha, are there found in the Tathagata defiled states that can be seen through the eye or the ear? And when you ask this question from the Tathagata, the Supreme Buddha would answer like this. The answer is no. No defiled states are seen or heard in the Tathagata's life. The Supreme Buddha himself would answer like that. Okay. So unless a person is truly pure inside, you can't answer like that. Then, if asked, are there found in the Tathagata any defiled states from time to time? Then the Tathagata would answer, no. Okay, there are no defiled states even from time to time. So the Supreme Buddha can confidently say that the Supreme Buddha does not have these defiled states even from time to time. Then, if you ask, are they found in the Tathagata? Pure states that can be seen through the eye and the ear. And when you ask this, the Tathagata would answer, yes, there are pure states that you can hear, that you can see, found in the Tathagata. Okay? And the Supreme Buddha teaches bhikkhus, a disciple should definitely approach the teacher who speaks thus in order to hear the Dhamma. So once you investigate like this about a teacher and you find out through your own self that this is a pure person, the Supreme Buddha teaches, you should definitely go to that teacher to listen to the Dhamma. The teacher teaches him the Dhamma with its higher and higher levels. Okay, the teacher teaches what is wholesome, what is unwholesome, what is merit, what is demerit. Okay, and as the teacher teaches the Dhamma to a bhikkhu in this way through direct knowledge, okay, that bhikkhu comes to a conclusion about the teaching, and he places confidence in the teacher thus. The Blessed One is fully enlightened, the Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Blessed One, and the Sangha is practicing the good way. So this is the way to gain confidence in the triple gem. Okay. So after you investigate like this, and after you realize through your own self that the Supreme Buddha is indeed a pure person, and after you realize that the teaching is indeed born from the heart of that pure person, and those who are following this pure path, the Sangha, is practicing the way to be pure themselves. Once you realize that on your own, you place confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. So no one told them to take refuge. Right? The Buddha himself didn't ask you to come and take refuge, but rather you investigated and you came to a conclusion on your own. Okay? Now, if others should ask that bhikkhu, why did you what are the Venerable One's reasons and what is his evidence whereby he says that the Blessed One is fully enlightened? So if others ask you, why do you say that the Blessed One is fully enlightened? Why do you say that Dhamma is proclaimed by the Blessed One, is well proclaimed by the Blessed One? And why do you say that the Sangha is practicing the good way? Answering rightly, that bhikkhu would answer like this. Here, friends, I approached the Blessed One in order to hear the Dhamma. The Blessed One taught me the Dhamma. Okay? The Blessed One taught me the Dhamma. And as the Blessed One taught the Dhamma to me in this way, through direct knowledge, I came to a conclusion about the teaching, and I place confidence in the teacher thus. The Blessed One is fully enlightened, the Dhamma is well proclaimed by the Blessed One, and the Sangha is practicing the good way. Okay. So after listening, so how did he gain confidence? After listening to the Dhamma from the Supreme Buddha. So he first analyzed who the Supreme Buddha was, and he realized that the Supreme Buddha is indeed a pure person with a pure mind. And afterwards, only he went to that teacher, to the Dhamma. And after listening to the Dhamma, he understood the Dhamma, and he came to the conclusion, indeed, this is a pure teaching. Okay, and he came to the conclusion that if a person practices this pure teaching, then indeed that person himself can be pure. Okay, and at the end of this, the Supreme Buddha teaches, because when anyone's faith has been planted, rooted, and established in Tathagata through these reasons, terms, and phrases, his faith is said to be supported by reasons, rooted in vision and firm. Okay, so if a person gains confidence like this, then that person's confidence is called confidence with a base to it, confidence with a root to it. Okay? This confidence with a root is something that never changes. The Supreme Buddha teaches such a confidence cannot be shaken. It is invincible by any recluse or Brahman or God or Mara or Brahma or by anyone in the world. So if a person gains such a confidence, then nobody in this world, not no recluses, no Brahmins, no gods, no Maras, or no Brahmas can change that person's confidence in the triple gem. Okay, so the teaches that confidence is called amulika shraddha. Sorry, that confidence is called akaravati shraddha. Akaravati shraddha means confidence with a base, confidence with a root to it. Okay, the opposite of that is called amulika shraddha. Amulika shraddha means confidence without a base. Okay, so how did you gain this confidence with a base or a root? By investigating through your own self. You first investigated the Buddha, and you gain confidence about the purity of the Buddha, and then you listen to the Dhamma, and you gain confidence by listening to the Dhamma and understanding the Dhamma. So if a person gains a confidence like this with a base, so remember the teachers, that confidence can never be changed. Okay, such a person who gains a confidence like this will definitely become a stream entrant who has unshakable confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, and within a maximum of 7 lives, he will escape from this samsara. Okay, so that is the importance of gaining this confidence. Many people these days don't have this confidence, and because of that, they believe many things that others say. Okay, many people these days, their confidence is that amulika shraddha. It's just based on. It's not based on understanding. It's not based on investigating with wisdom. Okay, so if your confidence has no base to it, then it's like a tree without a strong root. Okay, if there's a tree without a strong root, when a high wind comes, that root is quickly uprooted. Right? That's what happened to many people these days. Their confidence is just there's no root to it. They have not understood the Dhamma, they have not gained confidence by truly investigating through wisdom. Okay, so that's why people's confidence change. But if a people gain confidence like this, then that confidence does not change. Without a doubt, he will definitely develop that confidence even further and make it an unshakable confidence and become a stream entrant. He will not die. The Supreme Buddha teaches he will not die. If a person gains confidence through this investigation, he will definitely become a stream entrant before he dies. That is something that will definitely happen. And so he has the guarantee that within a maximum of 7 lives, that person will be free from samsara. But if you have a amulika shraddha, then that amulika shraddha is like a tuft of cotton. When you put a tuft of cotton in the air, wherever the direction the wind goes to, the tuft of cotton goes to that side. Right? If the wind is coming from the east, it goes to the west. If the wind is coming from the west, the piece of cotton goes to the east. Right? So if your confidence is not based on understanding and through a thorough investigation, then it can be changed by anyone. If someone says one thing, you believe that. Then when another person says another thing, you believe that. Okay, so with such a confidence, you can't go any further in this Dhamma path. You need to have proper confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha through proper investigation and understanding and realization. If you gain that confidence, then you can be confident that you will definitely enter the path to Nibbana and reach Nibbana. It may not be in this life, but in a future life, you can definitely attain that state. Okay, so the Surimada teaches that is how bhikkhus, there is an investigation of the Tathagata in accordance with the Dhamma. And that is how the Tathagata is well investigated in accordance with the Dhamma. That is what the Blessed One said. The bhikkhus were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. Okay, so may all of us be fortunate to gain confidence that are rooted, that are based on understanding and realization, and may all of us be able to develop our Dhamma path and attain Nibbana in this Gautam Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. The name of this sutta is called Vimamsaka Sutta, and I will share the link with you. Okay, so that is the link. You can read it. The translations are, I would not say, 100% accurate. I use the Sinhala translation to understand it, and then I kind of reword it so that you will understand the true meaning. But that's the best I could find. That's the best translation I could find. So you can read it